Well, that could have been a lot worse.
Fast-paced is journalism, like, you know.
It is the news rather than olds.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to your Monday edition of the Blood Red podcast, brought to you by the Liverpool Echo. I'm your host, Theo Squires, and Liverpool is still 13 points clear at the top of the table, and the Reds should be all refreshed too after a nice, rare weekend off. I suppose we are as well. Doyley's had a full weekend off. Gorsty's had a day.
Speak for yourself. I'm very much not refreshed.
But as you can tell, joining me again, we have our LFC correspondent, both home and away, Paul Gorst. Apart from not refreshed, how are you, Gorst?
Good, yeah. It's feels like a typical Monday, this, doesn't it?
Yes.
No game to speak of from the weekend, but games to come. So, yeah, we'll get into all that. Paris Saint-Germain, Champions League, it's all coming back.
And next to Gorsty, we have our chief Liverpool writer, Ian Doyle. How are you, Doyley, and how was your gig?
It was good. We got invited back, so I think we're going to get invited back. So obviously it must have gone reasonably well.
Did you get up to much else on your weekend off?
No. What do you mean? How much more do you want?
Rockstar lifestyle.
Exactly, yeah.
It's an entire weekend.
You get the high of that on the Saturday, so how did you follow it up on the Sunday?
By becoming incredibly depressed watching Manchester United against Fulham in the FA Cup and thinking, what is this? Whatever it is, it won't replace football.
What is this cup?
Exactly, yeah. FA Cup's better than the League Cup, don't forget.
Well, yeah, it was an interesting mix of FA Cup action, wasn't it? I found it quite lazy and boring, apart from 10-15 minutes in Newcastle versus Brighton.
I didn't actually see any of it, to be honest.
You're too busy working, that's why.
Well, I was working Sunday at the 21s with an action worthy, but it's, you know when like you're in the house of a weekend, you'll know that there's a game on Sky at R4, so you turn over, you find out who it might be if you don't sort of check. So I find with the FA Cup, you don't know when the games are on. I was just pottering about the house Saturday night, watching, I think it was on the background, Britain's Got Talent, and Man City were playing Plymouth on ITV4, and I didn't even know.
You do realise that there's thing called, TV listings, and they've got like the
yeah, but
internet
what
and
I'm
stuff
saying
like that
is,
where
it's
you
like,
can find
I'm
stuff
not
out.
that bothered to go
How to watch.
check,
Yeah,
find out when it's on.
Yeah.
But because they don't really make a big song and dance about when it's on and where it's on, I find that, obviously Liverpool weren't involved either, but so it all just sort of came and went for me. I saw a little bit of United Fulham, but that was about it.
Well, you've killed my way into Nord here, because I was going to say I had quite a lazy and boring weekend, but I could never get bored of NordVPN.
That's absolutely atrocious. You was all right last one.
Yeah, it was good last one. That was more ham-fisted.
That one was forced.
That was like
it?
a typical two-footed Theodore Squires.
But yeah,
a lack of subtlety in that challenge.
It's out there now, but we'll go through the usual message. To get the discount off your NordVPN plan.
Really, come on, a bit more. Come on, give it a bit more of a build.
Go to nordvpn.com/bloodred. Our link will also give you 4 extra months on the 2-year plan. There's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link is in the podcast episode description box. Dory, I'm sure you're using it in Paris.
Yes.
And you've got an extra night there now, haven't you?
Yes.
You looking forward to that?
Yes.
We'll get into Paris in a little bit, because we should probably work chronologically. But we will start with an email we've had from Kenny Matthews from Ireland. We are live on YouTube, so you can get your questions in as well. But Kenny has emailed Joe. He's an avid listener here from Ireland, named after the great man himself. I'm assuming Kenny Dalglish. He says...
Not Ken Matthews, the former cycling correspondent for the Echo and the Daily Post, then, no.
He just wanted to get a cycling reference in there. That was quite
yeah.
eloquent. Yeah. But he says he's optimistic about the league title now, and as someone who would love to be in the city for a title parade if Liverpool won it, what is your guys' opinion on when a potential parade could be? What type of planning goes into it? And would they also need to factor in a potential Champions League final?
Well, I can exclusively reveal right now in this podcast that talks have taken place over a title parade, but that makes it sound as though Liverpool are confident that they're going to win and all that sort of stuff. Nothing to do with that, really. It's just the logistics of the sort of thing that goes into this planning. You look at the Champions League final parade from 2019, and it was estimated 500,000 people were on the streets of Liverpool to welcome home that bus. So given that this will be the one that was almost denied supporters from 2020, 5 years on, I think Liverpool will be expecting even more than that. So, yeah, I don't know the extent of talks that have gone on, but they have been held. I know that much. But yeah, I think it'll be a massive thing for the city, won't it, if Liverpool do get over the line? And it looks like they will. Still 10 games to go and 30 points to play for, but Liverpool are massively well placed. And what did you work out with your maths for Friday?
Win your
6
own
wins.
games.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's more just from a sort of city planning thing and a safety thing that Liverpool will need to hold talks with the City Council over this sort of stuff, so has been ongoing, and I imagine the closer Liverpool get to winning the title, then the plans will be fleshed out a bit more, and we'll start to learn a bit more as and when. I don't think you'll get too many people at Liverpool willing to tell you too much about it at the moment, for fear of it all falling away, and then it becomes a little bit of a story, doesn't it? Do we even plan the parade? But it's nothing to do with that, really. It's pretty much just a logistical health and safety thing. But yeah, talks have been happening, and I think if Liverpool do get over the line, I think that parade will be incredible, really. I think it will surpass the Champions League one and any other there's been had, certainly in the last 25 years.
I'd imagine if they're not in the Champions League final, we'd be looking at the bank holiday Monday, the 26th, day after the season ends.
Possibly, yeah. Not too sure. I mean, they obviously held the parade the day after they won the Champions League in Madrid, didn't they? Flew back, so
it was the day
after Paris as well.
It was the day after for Istanbul as well, yeah.
So yeah, it tends to be the day after. So something to keep.
What's your favourite parade?
Probably after Madrid, I can say. Even though I was doing that in the office.
What's yours?
Yeah, well, I was. Where was I for that one? I was on Chilwell Five Ways to see the bus go past for the Madrid parade. It wasn't working, but I imagine we will be required to do some work even when there's a parade this year.
I've never seen one, so I'm not a favourite.
We raced back. We got back in time for the one after Paris, me and Kai Delaney, but you two guys just went home, didn't you? Because you didn't have to come into the city anyway.
Yeah, well, we were chasing up fallout from the Paris debacle, weren't we? Yeah, so didn't get to see that one. But that was huge, wasn't it, for the players? I think obviously the mood was on the floor. I remember speaking to Jordan Henderson after the Paris final, and he was obviously dejected and downbeats and stuff. And then you see him the following day with his sunnies on and his kit, and they were all celebrating what had been a memorable season, even though sort of the last 6 days didn't pan out the way they planned. But yeah, that was a good one by all accounts. But I didn't see much of it.
And Arsenal would have had quite a lot of parades planned over the last couple of years that never came to fruition. So it is like, it's not. Liverpool would have had one in 2018. They would have probably had one ready in case they won the Champions League.
Yeah.
So this isn't like, this is just being sensible about it. And like whoever it is that doesn't win on the last day, someone will leak a picture of like, there's the bus that they were going to go on, that kind of thing. So
it's just a logistics and a safety thing, isn't it? At this stage, anyway, because you can't just allow 1 million people onto the city streets without some sort of plan in place. So yeah, Liverpool have been holding tentative talks. I think it's fair to say preliminary, I guess. But yeah, I guess if Liverpool carry on winning games, those talks will firm up, and we'll see what's in the pipeline.
So yeah, thanks for your email, Kenny. If anyone else wants to send in some questions, contact Joe on joe.rimmer@reachplc.com. We have had a comment asking where is he from Sanjay Mystery. Going,
he's over there.
Has Mr. Rimmer been...
He said, I don't wish to talk about the FA Cup because I regard it as the lesser of all the competitions, is what he said.
The inferior of the domestic cups.
But yeah, Sanjay says, has Mr. Rimmer been transferred out? We can exclusively reveal that he hasn't. He is back tomorrow for a Blood Red special with Reach Business of Football reporter Dave Powell. They'll be looking over Liverpool's accounts, so keep an eye out for that one.
Now you see, that was seamless. That was better. That was better.
Yeah,
you're
I'm working on that one.
You improved. Stick with Leo.
A pre-tax loss of 57 million was announced on Friday for Liverpool's accounts, wasn't it? And
you wrote about it.
Part of the admin costs was a £9.6 million payoff for Jurgen Klopp and his staff, which won't be there in next year's accounts. And what will be there will be the new lucrative 36-team Champions League, which Liverpool are flying through at the moment. So that will be a significant upturn in the finances. So Dave Powell will be here tomorrow to tell Joe a little bit more about that, and an additional pod this week.
You know what else will be in there? The Zuba-Mendy money.
Yeah, where's the Martin Zuba-Mendy money?
With the Caicedo money being there as well. We'll move chronologically now. Like most of this podcast, we'll be looking ahead to PSG, but we will touch on the weekend and Newcastle United with Anthony Gordon getting himself sent off. He was a silly boy, wasn't he, Doyle? He was a big boy for Newcastle.
It is, although I put a tweet out saying, any Liverpool fans getting excited, look what happened the last time a team played in the League Cup final, missing lots of their best players. Look what happened there.
That is 2 questions down, so thanks.
Okay, so no problem. So, yeah, Anthony Gordon, a bit stupid, wasn't he? He just... I don't know what he was thinking.
The red mist.
It was just like, of all the time. I mean, the thing is, there's always these stories, whether Luis Garcia and, I've forgotten the West Ham player. Was it Hayden Mullins? No,
that rings a bell.
Yeah, it might have been. Yeah, so those two got ruled out of the cup final by getting sent against each other by getting sent off for a flare-up against each other about 10 days before the cup final. And there have been other stories in the past, obviously, of players just getting themselves stupidly dismissed and then can't play in the game. But for Liverpool, it's obviously a boost because Anthony Gordon's one of Newcastle's best players, and obviously they got knocked out of the FA Cup by Brighton, and Isak went off injured. I mean, that's got to be a worry because he doesn't play against Liverpool because he pulls out at the last minute. He gets to 87 minutes against Brighton of a game where it's very, closely matched game, which Newcastle will probably think, and if we get through this, we've got a good chance to get to the final. And then he has to go off injured with 3 minutes to go in that. And while you could say precaution both times, the final's only 2 weeks off.
Yeah.
And if they can patch him up, they'll definitely start him against Liverpool in the final. I'm not sure if they've got one league game before then, haven't they? So
have a look at it.
Yeah,
just got the one league
is
game,
it Saturday or Sunday?
Which I'd be amazed if he plays in that.
Yeah, well, Eddie Howe said after the game that it was just
West
he said it was
Ham
fine
away.
essentially, but I think you're right. The FA Cup was huge for Newcastle, wasn't it? Taking off your top man when he's already scored on his goal scoring return. I don't think it's not an ideal situation, even if maybe it's not cut and dried that he has suffered a recurrence of that groin injury that kept him out of the Liverpool game. But either way, it's probably good news for Liverpool. And Anthony Gordon's just foolish, wasn't it?
Yeah.
With the League Cup final coming up, he obviously missed the League Cup final for Newcastle 2 years ago against United. So this was his chance that he would have been looking forward to against his boyhood club as well, and then he's just gone and done that against Van Hecke, and now he's out. Newcastle are going to appeal it, I think, but it might be a bit of a frivolous one.
They might get an extra game because of that as well. Yeah,
just charges into the back of them, doesn't he? Almost forearms.
I can see why they do it because they got to take the chance, haven't
Yeah.
they? But I suspect it's going to end up ruling him out for another game.
Well, yeah, Newcastle's game before the finals, West Ham away on the Monday. So I suppose that could work either way.
That's a bit harsh on them, isn't it?
Yeah, it could work either way for
He made 6 changes for that game yesterday. Joe Linton comes back in, which is a huge boost for them. Obviously, Isak starts as well. But yeah, I was reading something today from Mark Douglas of the Eye, who obviously was briefly one of my colleagues here a couple of years back, and he's obviously very well connected in the Northeast, and he was saying about just seems like Newcastle are running out of steam at the wrong time. They're not quite firing on all cylinders as they once were, and the fact that they haven't been able to bring in players over the last 3 windows is really starting to impact them now.
They've started conceding loads of goals.
Yeah,
as
so
well,
they've got a bit of a
2-2, 3 and 4 in the last 4 games.
yeah.
Did you see the winner as well? It was poor defending. I think it was from Livramento playing him on side.
I mean, what I would say about that, it was right near the end of the game. They'd probably been tied by that point.
Yeah. Well, that was his point. It looks like they sort of running out of steam, and that would have helped Liverpool indirectly playing the extra minutes. So yeah, positive omens for Liverpool on the cup final front in what is it, a fortnight? Just under a fortnight now.
Look at their list of absentees. Obviously, Gordon's ruled out. Botman's going to be touch and go if he can be back. Isak will wait and see what this issue that forced him off yesterday was. I think Eddie Howe said it's just tightness, but when you've already got that injury, that's a concern.
Yeah. That's 4 weeks out if you're playing for Liverpool.
Lewis Hall missed the game with, I think, an ankle issue.
Yeah, he might be out, mightn't he?
And did Kieran Trippier come off with an issue yesterday as well? I think he started. And these are some big players from Newcastle. But as you've already said, Doyle, we saw the reverse of that last year. Chelsea would have been confident when you look at all those teenagers on the bench of Liverpool. When you've got the crowd behind you, anything can happen.
Well, that's it. I mean, it's kind of
It's going to be a great atmosphere.
It
isn't
will be.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it. Newcastle are probably going to take about 500,000 people to that game. Well, they certainly. I would be amazed if there's less than 60,000 Geordies there. I have to say they'll take over like Trafalgar Square.
I mean,
as if it's Scotland to come down for a game.
Never knowingly undersold for cup finals, though, are they? To be fair,
No, but I think Newcastle have obviously got there first, and they took up all the hotels by the ground and everywhere else, and they've got the box park and they've got the bars, they've got the Green Man, they got all of that kind of stuff. So they got in there first. So it will be interesting because it'll be a rare occasion because obviously Liverpool have been playing mostly against London opposition at Wembley, and none of them would stay over. Really,
Chelsea,
exactly, yeah,
almost exclusively,
yeah. So it'll be interesting because it'll be a new experience for a lot of match-going Liverpool fans to be in an English final in Wembley, and they're probably going to be outnumbered. Let's be honest.
We'll put Newcastle on the back burner now because it is still 2 weeks away. Instead, we'll look at PSG. Doyley's off to Paris tomorrow. It's a little reward for finishing first in this new format, isn't it? Having to have probably the tie of the round of 16 against Paris Saint-Germain.
They've been a bit unfortunate, Liverpool, there because they won the group stage, and I think there was a concerted effort to make sure that they went and won it. It wasn't just a case of them thinking, we're nice and comfortable in the top 8 here, let's just see what happens. But I think it's a learning process for all of football, really, for journalists, for football players and coaches, and for fans, just to see how it all shakes out, this sort of new Swiss model, 36 team. And, theoretically it was meant to benefit Liverpool, but they've ended up with a tough draw, basically because Paris Saint-Germain had a bit of a struggle in the early going, didn't he? And then eventually got it together and finished just inside the qualification places, so they've ended up drawing Liverpool after Hammer and Brest. And yeah, it could have been easier for Liverpool, but I think you're not going to come across a top team on your way to the European Cup, are you? So I think with respect to Aston Villa certainly, and to Club Brugge, I think having those two for a place in the semi-final is huge. So if they can get by PSG, then that is a last eight tie that is quite advantageous, really. So take the rough with the smooth, I think. And this is a different PSG. It's not the Galactiques as Louis has christened them. But it's going to be difficult. But like I say, you're trying to win the Champions League. You're not going to come up against the top side at some stage. Liverpool may be a little bit fortunate with the draws a couple of years ago when they got Villarreal and Benfica. But it is what it is.
When you said Swiss model, then I just had visions of somebody walking down a catwalk. I don't know why. I've done a couple of gigs, already turned into a rock star.
PSG haven't lost since a 1-0 defeat to Bayern at the end of November. 22 games unbeaten. They've beaten
You've done your research for this, haven't you?
I have, yeah. They've beaten Man City during that run, and I think they've won 7-0 twice in the last few weeks.
They did beat a team that had from a place that was named after some cheese, didn't they, or something like that? I can't remember. Yeah,
and then Brest as well. But it's an understatement to say they're in good form.
Beat FC Fromage.
Who was it, by the way, in the cup? Who did they beat? Who was it they beat? Have a look, and I'll chunder on about PSG for a bit.
Tell us about Ousmane Dembele.
Yeah, I'm going to actually, because we'll do him first, because I'm just finishing off a story on him now. He's only ever played 7 competitive minutes against Liverpool, and they were the last 7 minutes of the first leg against Barcelona, when Barcelona were winning 3-0. He comes on, legs it down one end in the 97th minute, exchanges pass for Messi, and hits it straight to Alisson. And Messi goes onto the floor and starts rolling about, going out. And they spoke after the game and said, "Wish we'd have scored that, because we know their fans are going to be with it." And look what happened. So
sliding doors moment.
Exactly, yeah. So, and I think Dembele was only 22 then, and I was having a look at his record at Barcelona, and he basically was injured for large parts of almost every season. He was there for 6 years. Came from Dortmund. And when he left Rennes, Liverpool, Klopp wanted to sign him. Went and spoke to him in Paris, and he says, "No, I'm off to Dortmund anyway." So that's another sliding doors moment for him.
Barcelona paid about 115 million for him,
and they still managed to sell him for about 45 after the 6 years.
So that helped
PSG.
set the Coutinho price, or
it was all involved in the Neymar stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah. So he went to PSG in his first season. Last season, they won 2 trophies, the domestic double, and got to the semi-final of the Champions League, but he only scored 6 goals. But he's got 26 this season.
Yeah, he's having a really good season.
Whereas last season he got a lot of assists and not many goals. This time he's scoring a lot, not many assists. So he's 27 now, and he's kind of realising that the potential that he had. But having said that, Paris Saint-Germain play in the French league, and it's not the world's greatest league. And I know when Lille, and Brest did quite well, and PSG, but so PSG beat Brest 10-0 on aggregate, didn't they, in the playoff round? Did Lille get knocked out? They're through, aren't they? They went straight through, didn't they? They went straight through, didn't they, to the last 16?
I mean, Lille were unbeaten until they came to Anfield,
exactly,
20-odd games.
But they've kind of put the Champions League ahead of the domestic form. I think PSG are unbeaten in the Ligue 1. There's a bit more French for you there. That means 1, by the way, Ligue 1. And they've not drawn many games, but Dembele's on a great run of form. But this is Liverpool, and Liverpool with what was it? That was in the 2018-19 season when they went to PSG, got beat 2-1. And to be honest, I wasn't there, but I was watching, and Liverpool just weren't very good, and they were kind of lucky to get away with a 2-1 defeat. I think PSG did a number on them, and it'll be interesting to see what happens this time. I know players and everything's going to be different, but you're still going to have Van Dijk, will remember that. Like Robertson and Trent and Alisson, they'll remember that. So they'll kind of know what to expect. But PSG well up for it. And you saw what happened against Man City. City went 2-0 up, and then within about 15 minutes, PSG had turned it around. And that was kind of the first sign of Man City where you thought, Oh, these aren't very good.
Yeah, I mean, Dembele's having an excellent season, like you say, just finally starting to justify the sort of hype around him in his younger days. I think there was loads of issues with him not really training properly, and I seem to remember vaguely some stories about him almost staying up all night on his PlayStation when he moved to Barcelona.
Explain the injuries.
David James.
Yeah.
Well, if you'd explain if it was thumb injuries, not his hamstring. I
Yeah.
don't know what
Well, no,
he's
if you're not
doing.
sleeping properly, you're not recovering properly, you
Well,
are going to get
sitting
injured.
down weirdly while playing his Xbox.
Yeah, he was playing Red Dead Redemption till all hours, apparently.
Red Dead Redemption 2 is really good, by the way.
But
It is.
Yeah.
he's got two great feet. And I think he's one of those rare ones where you're not
Supposed to
quite
three.
sure what. Yeah, as opposed to you're not. He's one of those rare ones where you don't know what foot he uses. Luis Garcia, I thought, was always one of those players.
I can always tell what foot he's using when he's kicking it. But I know what you're saying.
He doesn't have a stronger foot, but I think that could be a problem for Andy Robertson on the night. He's going to start off the right, but he's comfortable, moving in field. He's comfortable going outside.
What?
So it'll be something different for Robertson to think about. He's not. I mean, he's been better in recent weeks, but he's not been at his vintage best across the full season, has he? So I think that's an issue for Liverpool to look at. He's probably going to need help from Luis Diaz on the night.
You'll get first person that Dembele run
Or-
into, though,
or
will be
Gakpo.
Van Dijk, won't it?
Mm.
So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, but he's having a brilliant season, and PSG has sort of changed their model, haven't they, from recent years?
Not a Swiss model, no.
No. But the midfield, I really like the midfield. They've got who's the Portuguese lad they've got in there? Is it Mendes? Possibly.
Not
Yeah.
Pedro Mendes, the agent.
Patina.
Oh, it's not
Neves.
Coutinho.
Neves,
Neves,
that's it,
yeah,
Neves, that's it,
he
yeah.
was superb against City. That's the only time I've seen him, I think, this season, but they were very good, certainly in the second half as well, and didn't really get flustered when City went 2-0 up. They just continued playing their game and won at a canter by the end of it. So, yeah, it's going to be a real challenge for Liverpool, this one. Probably the most difficult one they've had this season in the Champions League.
Most difficult one they've had in
perhaps
all
Real Madrid
season.
aside.
All the season. Even in the Premier League.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, Arsenal away was tough, wasn't it? Liverpool held in there and got a really good result. But
Newcastle as well, actually.
yeah, it's not going to be too far removed from that anyway. So yeah, I think a draw would be a really good result for Liverpool, actually.
Going back to your question of who do they face in the French Cup and beat 7-0, Stade Briochin.
There you go. It wasn't
That's
cheese.
it.
It was
Bread.
it was something else. I knew it was something to do with French.
More on PSG. I think they've only lost once at home all season. They've only lost 3 times. The home defeat.
They're all in the Champions League,
Yeah.
aren't they? So
Arsenal, Bayern, Atletico Madrid
That's-
at home.
So they lose to good teams.
You're taking that as a positive.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's not like they've been shocked. There's a couple of times and they've been caught cold, and any team can have an off day. They've been beaten by good teams, there, top teams. So that's something for Liverpool to look at.
It'll be interesting to see how Arne Slot approaches it, because you can go to Paris, get a draw, and that's a very good result. You can lose by 1 goal, and that's still a very good result coming back to Anfield. It's a difference to that 8 teams in the league phase where you're only playing everyone once.
How is it different in the sense that
Because it's two-legged, isn't it?
He's not
It's-
going to approach it any differently in the sense that almost every game Liverpool played in that group stage was, we're playing a tough team. To be fair, Paris Saint-Germain, you just mentioned those teams, they had a tough
Yeah, it
run
was
as
tough.
well.
Yeah.
The 3 toughest ones was probably Liverpool, Barcelona and PSG, is what I thought. Just not having...
Hasn't Arne Slot said something
I haven't
similar?
looked at all 36 schedules for the teams, but I'm on about the teams who were expected to, do quite well. I think they had 3. They all had tough ones. Yeah, I forgot what you said.
It's just you have to approach it slightly differently because it's knockout football.
The thing is, I don't think he will. This is the interesting thing: is that the only time he's had a 2-legged game was Tottenham in the League Cup semi-final, and I don't think Liverpool were playing for a draw or a low-scoring defeat. Or
They were just very poor in North London.
yeah, and Tottenham when they scored at the end, a controversial goal, and then Liverpool had the second leg. I don't know, Paris Saint-Germain are a lot better than Tottenham, so all it does, it gives them a kind of a escape, bit of a get out because they've got the second leg. But the same thing applies to PSG as well. Let's just say Liverpool win in the first leg 2-1. PSG will go to Anfield. They won't be scared or anything like that because they know they've got loads of goals in them, and if they get an early goal, suddenly it's game on. So I don't think either team. The only thing that might happen is, as tends to happen in these games, the first half of the first leg might start really slowly.
I think Liverpool will take that, though. I think they'll look to grow into the tie as a whole and just keep it tight to begin with. I think what Liverpool can take from the win against City is they can sit in and be resolute and defend, and say to the other team, well, let's see what you can do against this, because City huffed and puffed all day, didn't they? And Liverpool just held firm with Canate and Van Dijk. So I think Liverpool could do similar in Paris on Tuesday night. safe in the knowledge that they've obviously got the threat on any sort of counter attack, and then once you get back to Anfield, the game is probably a different sort of game anyway. So yeah, it'll be tough for Liverpool. Like I say, it's probably one of the most difficult ones that they've faced this season, but that will almost certainly be true for PSG as well.
We talked a bit about Dembele. Obviously, he's the leading man. He's got the most goals, replacing that Mbappe place in the team. But the other forwards are scoring plenty as well. Barcola's got 17. Ramos has got 12. They've got goals in midfield. And you've got Kvaratskhelia as well, who could have maybe in another lifetime joined Liverpool in January. Suddenly looks a very formidable outfit.
Can he play for them? Is
I think
not
so,
Champions League Cup side, no?
No.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. We know what a superb player he is, and we were there in Naples, weren't we, when he tore the...
Share the same beds?
Yeah, tore the backside off the Liverpool team, really, didn't he? Is that right?
Said it was it.
Yeah,
Anyway.
there's nothing to do with that. What was that, 4-1?
4-1 it was,
I think that 4-1 for me in Naples was a bit of a... You started to really worry that it was going to be a tough season for Liverpool, and that was only September. But he was brilliant that night, and really pushed Napoli to the title that season, didn't he? So, yeah, I don't think he's quite hit those levels since, but he's certainly going to be one to watch on Tuesday night.
Dolly, there's a few players who are on the disciplinary tightrope. McAllister, Konate, Robertson and Elliott, all 1 yellow card away from suspension.
You love this tightrope, don't you? You love teetering on it.
You've done it a couple of times as well this season, if I recall. But that is something else that might weigh on a player's mind, like especially for Konate. He's not going to want to miss the second leg at Anfield against his boyhood club.
Well, if Liverpool are losing 4-0, I think he'd rather miss that game than miss the the quarterfinals and the semi-finals. I don't really think it plays on the minds too much. The only time that it might do is if you are getting towards the end of the game, you don't want to do something silly. But during the course of a game, players, you can't afford to go into it and go, right, I don't want to get booked here from the off, because then you're compromising your game, and you can always tell when players are like that. So I'm sure there's some PSG players who must be on there.
Yes, but I've not done my homework on them. I've let you down there. I'm sorry.
You have, yeah. So it's the same thing for all the teams by now, because don't forget PSG are playing extra 2 games as well.
Yeah.
So there's far more chance of them having it, which again is another.
I mean, he
reason.
wouldn't say no, though, so it didn't sound like it was the most tactical.
They've beaten them 4 times this season in the league. I think they've scored something like 16 goals against them. They should play them all the time. No, I don't think it'll make an impact. Liverpool have had players missing again. Players we've talked before about players missing finals. Liverpool have had players missing for big games through suspension. So
Alonso in 05, semi-final. That was one, wasn't it?
That's when Good Johnson fell over. See, there's an example of the other way around, where a player, obviously, I can say this now, it's 20 years ago, where a player quite clearly was trying to get somebody booked to miss a game, and it didn't quite work out for them, did it?
I hope that Good Johnson's playing in this Legends game in a couple of weeks, and he's seen this, and he's going to come through that.
Yeah. He can watch it, but just as long as he doesn't hear it.
Pinned up in the dressing room wall.
Yeah, unless he gets the lip reader who always sends us an email saying, look what Arne Slot said here, whatever have you, which clearly he didn't say. Anyway, go on.
Path to the final, if they get through, Villa or Bruges in the quarters with the second leg away from home, then it'll be
Real Madrid.
That's the semis.
Yeah.
Then Arsenal, PSV, or Real Madrid finaled with the second leg at Anfield of the semis.
Real Madrid, let's go Madrid. Not finaled.
Have I got the wrong one there?
Yeah, Real
Madrid
play tomorrow.
Madrid.
Yeah.
My bad.
Your homework has been slipshod and slapdash.
What
preparation? I don't know.
So it's PSV v Arsenal, which I think is actually a tough fixture for Arsenal now, given the fact that we've got no forwards.
PSV got a good win against Juventus. Yeah.
Yeah, both Italian giants got knocked out, didn't they, by the Dutch?
Well, Inter Milan is still in it.
AC Milan.
Yeah, but Inter Milan is still in it. There's more than 2 Italian giants.
Inter a good side, I think, actually. I think they could trouble the latter stages. And then Real Madrid Atletico, which is a big one, isn't it?
It's tasty. They don't like each other very much. Well, Atletico Madrid don't like Real Madrid.
I mean, they beat them twice in 2014 and 16 finals.
Both times lucky as well.
Can you imagine losing to Everton in the Champions League final twice? What that'd do to you as a Liverpool follower? As a Liverpool
I can't imagine
player.
that. Sorry, you asked me a question.
Yeah, it'd be incredible, wouldn't it? So yeah, that's a big one. I expect Real Madrid, by crook, as usual, to be the one that Liverpool will meet if they get as far as the semi-finals. But like I said before, I think it's really opened up for them a little bit.
It's not. They're playing Paris Saint-Germain in the next round. It's literally the hardest game they could have got.
It is, but I mean, they're a really good side. Like I said, it's going to be one of the most difficult ones they've faced, but it's not like they've been drawn with the knockout version of Real Madrid, is it?
They got to the
Bayern Munich?
semi-finals last year.
No, I'm not saying that, but you're in the European Cup, you're going to have to play a good team at some point. But I think looking at it, get past PSG for a chance to play Aston Villa or Club Brugge, you'd absolutely take it, wouldn't you, if you're on a slot?
So yeah, we know the pathway. Doyley, you can't say Arsenal are favourites to win the league anymore, but how far are Liverpool going in Europe? Who's the favourites for the Champions League?
Real Madrid, isn't it? It's always Real Madrid.
So
even when they haven't qualified, it's like Sevilla in the Europa League.
Liverpool losing in the semis then, or do you reckon they'll get knocked out before that? I'm putting you on the spot here.
What's the other side of the draw? Because we know
It's everybody else, isn't
the fact that Liverpool won the group stage meant that they can't play Barcelona until the final. So they're on the other side.
Bayern
of the
Munich are on the other side.
They've had a good season so far, obviously.
Bayern Munich beat Leverkusen, isn't it?
Yeah,
Barcelona
true,
against Benfica again? It must be, yeah, because that's
Yeah.
yeah.
So other
So it's
side,
Feyenoord
you've
against-
got Benfica, Barcelona, Borussia Dortmund, Lille, Bayern Munich, Bayer
Feyenoord
Leverkusen,
Inter.
Feyenoord into Milan.
There you go.
So yeah, I do think Inter are a really good side. Barcelona obviously having a really good season. Real Madrid on Liverpool side of the draw. I think that'll be can that be the semi-final into Barcelona?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think that'll be the semi-final.
UEFA have fudged it for a Real Madrid-Barcelona final.
Yeah, I mean, I think that'll
Well,
be
they haven't really.
No, they haven't. I know.
that'll be the semi-final on that side, and I think the other semi-final will be Liverpool Real Madrid. So there's your last four now. Bold prediction.
Can we just say there that the UEFA have not fudged it, so it's a round against Barcelona.
That's very much tongue-in-cheek.
Our
joke.
legal man over here in the corner was like nearly falling off his
They'll
chair.
be, they'll be on the phone from Neon as soon as we finish this pod.
We'll go through some.
They are European Super League advocates, though, Real Madrid.
Yes.
That is true.
We'll go through some of the questions
Barcelona,
now we've got coming in and some of the comments. Shane Doherty, another Ireland listener, says, "What game do you guess the league could be won at?"
Does it the last
I've
one?
no idea.
The last
The
one.
last one. As long as
My
they
brain hurts
win
trying
the
to think
last
about
one,
it.
that's all. It doesn't matter how early you win it. Just win it.
We've got people tuning in from Zambia. So if you want to say hello to husbandman George Best Matonga, feel free.
Isn't it mad that people in Zambia are watching us?
Well, I mean, speak for yourself. I've got quite a large following over there.
No, it is. It never always flummoxes me that. Fair play.
It's the World Wide Web for a reason. Yeah.
Nopper has said Eddie Hitler in the studio. I'm not sure which one of the three of us is referring to.
It's literally my WhatsApp picture, isn't it?
Adrian Edmondson at bottom.
from bottom.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It literally is and has been my WhatsApp picture for years.
That makes me Rick Mail.
That means you're dead.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
I'm always trying to smash your face in with the frying pan every chance I get. Jamming your head
I
in the
haven't got any
fridge.
brown suits though.
Ian McCartney says, any thoughts on Ibu's contract situation with rumours of PSG sniffing about?
Yeah, I mean, it's one that Liverpool have got to solve, haven't they? But I think it's probably fourth in the list of the four that are sort of on the docket. We know that Van Dijk, Salah and Trent are the big stories for that. But yeah, it can't be neglected for too long. He admitted, didn't he, before the Lille game in January, that he's been offered a new deal, and then he stopped short of saying whether he'd turned it down or accepted it. But I think it's fair to say there's some distance between what him and his representatives want and what the club have offered, given that it has gone unsigned or there's been no news of it being signed. So yeah, it's one Liverpool can't neglect for too long, because he's in the form of his Liverpool career, and come the summer he will only have 18 months left, will he? Or well, it won't be 18 months, will it? So
a year.
be a year, yeah. So
You get these three done one way or the other, and it's like, oh, here we go again.
yeah,
It's going to be like that for every single player. I think I'd be amazed if he joins Paris Saint-Germain, but I wouldn't be surprised if he joins Real Madrid in a free transfer at the end of his contract.
We got a comment where I've been called Leo again, and then someone saying
Sorry about that.
they can watch the Doubters to Believers documentary on Amazon using NordVPN, because it's only available in limited countries.
That's
So-
good. Well, I mean, I say it's good. It's good that they can do it.
a few shots of me on that.
Yeah, you're in the first episode. Both of you are, aren't you?
Yeah. But we didn't speak in it because we
Oh,
basically.
you? I didn't actually see you.
Oh,
Sorry.
well, that's fine. Just looking for yourself.
Yeah,
I'm literally
yeah.
on there within about 10 seconds.
Not only
or
because I got
something.
sent it twice. A couple of people sent me it.
I think there was a shot of
You got your ghosty
Gorsty,
spotters.
and then there's both of you with Lewis Steele in between,
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
like seconds later.
Is the you hand and Klopp the
No, because
The
the
cam-
cameras were turned off for that
that's it. Yeah, no,
specifically.
but they've
Yeah,
shown
the
it on the
speeches in it.
documentary.
I think it does
Yeah,
make it.
there is Klopp at
Because
the
one
end
of the fan
episode 4
sites
saying,
is
like,
word for word quoted the speech he said to us when the cameras were turned off.
I watched it last
Really?
week. Yeah. You know
Shouldn't
what he
have done
says? Well, no, it's in the documentary. So
Well, they shouldn't have done it. They did say cameras off. This is an outrageous documentary that I'm never.
I suppose that doesn't extend to the documentary they were filming. Have you seen any of it?
Of course I've not.
No, have you?
I've seen the first episode.
Awful, isn't it?
What have you made of it?
It's not fly on the wall. It's nostalgic.
Is it more like fly from 15 miles away?
Yeah, I mean, Klopp obviously didn't want them to go anywhere near the team, did he? For obvious reasons. So the bits I've seen of it is not loads of insight. There's a bit where Pep Linders is talking to Nunes in his office in Portuguese, basically showing him a few clips and saying, "This is what we want from you. This is what you've been doing well. You know, this, that, and the other." And that was quite interesting, but it's not long enough. It's only like 20 seconds.
The only behind-the-scenes bit in the first episode really is when Curtis Jones is doing a tour of the training ground, takes him into the physio room. It's alarming how many players are in that physio room at that time, taking us back to last season.
I mean, most football documentaries are terrible anyway, aren't they? Let's be honest.
You're having this conversation last week, weren't you, when you were talking about the Graham Taylor one?
The Graham Taylor one is probably the best one. The Maradona one, that's good. That's more of a film than a documentary, though.
Yeah.
Are there any others that are really good? There's bound to be some. Neil Warnock one from years ago. That was quite
Sunderland
good.
Till I Die, apparently. But I've only seen the first couple of episodes.
The Dan portrait's supposed to be quite good, isn't it? When they did like the 90 minutes.
Dan's all right. Some World Cup ones are quite good, but then that's about it.
This has become something different now, isn't it? Just talking football media, literature, and all this. Enjoying it.
Continue.
Teams for Wednesday. Back five probably picks itself.
I think so, yeah. It's just the left back debate, isn't it? But I think Robertson is now nudged quite clear ahead of Tsimikas in that one. So yeah,
Tsimikas was all right against Newcastle, but some of his defending remains a little bit unorthodox, shall we say? So I think Robertson's back in.
Have you noticed when it's Tsimikas, he's the one who's allowed to bomb forward, and Trent has to stay a little bit deeper, whereas when it's Trent and Robertson's the one who holds back.
I've never noticed that
either.
Something to keep an eye out on. Okay, midfield 4-3 again. Which one of the four's dropping out?
Curtis, I think.
Yeah, I think Curtis will drop out. Are we sticking with 4-2-3-1? I had a feeling you might veer towards that box midfield, given you're bigging up the City performance. I wouldn't personally.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that actually, but it's possible. But I'm sticking with me three forwards.
And who are your three forwards?
It's just Gakpo or Diaz, isn't it?
So Jota's still up front?
Jota above Nunes, yeah. I think that's pretty much clear now. If Jota is fit, he has to start. Nunes could be an option off the bench to sort of take advantage of any space that might open up as the game wears on. But yeah, I'm having Jota ahead of Nunes to begin. And I don't know, it's tough because they're both being good, haven't they? I think Diaz has been decent lately and Gakpo has been really good for a number of months, but obviously hasn't played much in the last 2 or 3 weeks. So I'll go with Gakpo.
What about you, Dolly?
Salah right, Gakpo left and Diaz down the middle on the basis that Diaz and Gakpo will be moving around a lot and swapping around. I think that's probably the way forward if they're both going to play.
Score predictions, starting with you, Dolly.
2-1 to Paris Saint-Germain. Settle for that.
1-1 draw.
Nice and positive from both of you there. I
suppose it's positive.
Good results.
It's not like it's an away goal anyway, which is, again, that's something that's not been happening for a couple of years now, and that means Liverpool can attack with a little bit more.
I don't know whether I'm underselling Liverpool here. Maybe just because they're sort of this close. Maybe just
how close are they? Sorry,
they are very close. We're up close. We see it all day, every day, don't we? Maybe people who are a bit further afield can see that Liverpool are a much better team and will go and win quite comfortably.
Liverpool are quite good at football.
Yeah,
but I mean, I'm looking at. Bless you.
I just don't want to sound like Mark Robinson.
Our producer Ian has just sneezed and then made it worse by trying to hide the sneeze. Therefore, made it a lot louder, and now he's gone bright red because he's trying to stop himself from laughing.
And he was already in a good mood because Anthony Gordon got sent off.
Yeah, that's very, very bitter. It's not irrelevant, is it? He's literally
not
not playing against Liverpool now. That's very relevant. We just spent like 10 minutes talking about it. It doesn't affect. It does because it meant you had 10 minutes longer in here while we were talking about it. Anyway,
I've undersold Liverpool. I'm going to say Liverpool are going to win 2-1.
Okay, you're going for a win, you're going for a
I was going to say is that one thing you would say about Liverpool, look at some of their tough away games. City was an interesting one because that's one where they didn't concede. Played Arsenal conceded twice. They played Tottenham, I know when they won 6-3, but still conceded 3. 3 at Newcastle. So 2 at Everton, 2 at Villa.
They have looked more solid, though, defensively the last 2-3
games. And in Europe, they didn't concede in Girona, didn't concede in
Leipzig. They didn't concede in Champions League, except for Pulisic.
AC Milan, but they conceded 3 against
PSG.
You
can't have PSG game. James McConnell knocking about in the field.
But perhaps that does show a little bit of a difference between Europe to the Premier League. And that might come down, though, to PSG and what they're going to do. So I think I'm expecting them to probably after that slow start that I mentioned, I think they'll be giving it a proper go. And I do think Liverpool are going to have to be defending a lot, but that means they will have chances. But I'm still sticking with 2-1.
Thanks for that. That's all we've got time for today. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to Gorst and Doyle for joining me, and thanks for all your questions. As we've already mentioned, Joe will be back tomorrow for a special Blood Rotor with Dave Powell. Doyle will be over in Paris for the press conference starting 6:30 UK time. And we don't know when we'll be back yet this week. We're still trying to work it out. It'll be Thursday or Friday. So keep an eye on for that. Tune in when we do come back on air, when we look back on PSG and look ahead to Southampton. No rest for the wicked. Thanks and goodbye.